To Keep You As My Own by Hannah Allies Minford. I began my path to you when the bailiffs turned up. My father, his debts spiralling, was already concocting erratic plans to find me a rich husband, to pull us out of the mire. But no one wanted me, plain, unaccomplished. The men were often old and leering, but even when they weren't, I was repelled by the thought of them. I have no desire to be a pawn, to feel the damp, coarse touch of a man. I was trance-like as the world I knew fell around me, my mother sobbing, my father with spittle flying from his lips. "No man would have you now," he said. For the crime of existing, I was sentenced to exile. There were no goodbyes. I didn't know it then, but I was a gift for you. Your father was on the hunt for a companion, a girl the same age. Dinner and board in exchange for friendship. It was the best you could hope for, my father spat. I was picked to be your inferior, to provide a stark contrast to your beauty, to let your confidence build with a shadow so plain. I was tall and awkward, but you were so small you could curl up into a dining chair, your feet tucked underneath you neatly like a cat. My hair was orange and frizzy, but yours was so dark it was almost black, thick curls framing your smile so perfectly, matching the chestnut of your eyes. Your dress was simple, but the muslin was luxurious, catching the light, making you glow. You were effortlessly beautiful. I knew my role immediately, to keep my eyes averted, to speak only when spoken to. On the long road to your home, I imagined you spiteful and haughty, but you were so gentle with me. That first day, my cheeks tear-stained and eyes wide with fear, you sat me in the parlour and called for tea. You asked me questions about my family as though I were a cousin visiting for the afternoon. You assumed no power over me. I'd expected to be your plaything, a rag doll to be trailed on the floor. Instead, for the first time in my life, I was shown kindness. At first, we would spend most of our time outside. You'd walk ahead through the rose gardens, away from the tapestry-lined halls of the house, determined. It was like you didn't really breathe until you were underneath the cover of the trees. I trailed you at a distance, past the kitchen garden, towards the orchard, like you were a wild animal. You were sensing if I was safe. At first, only stolen looks, small smiles. I couldn't read you and didn't dare to look too closely in case you disappeared. I realised I loved you on Midsummer's Eve. It was the hottest day of the year, and I'd been carrying your art supplies, heavy and awkward, across the gardens. My bonnet had slipped as my hair came undone beneath it. I think you noticed my discomfort, and you asked if I would sit. It was the way you held out your hand to help me down, to bring me into your world. Your smile was open, and you looked at me. Looked not just at my awkward form or old-fashioned dress. You looked into my eyes and saw all of me. I was lightheaded and damp at the nape of my neck, and I felt so perfectly at peace. It could have only been love. We spent the rest of the day making daisy chains, and you wore a crown as you fell asleep in the afternoon heat. We relaxed into each other. You opened yourself, not just to me, but to your family too. You began to laugh, speak up at dinner. You would embrace me when you remembered a word in French, when you memorized a song by heart. I would return your embrace, smelling the sweet scent of your curls. I dared to watch you from under my eyelashes, pretending modesty, but dedicating myself to learn everything about you. I loved the way you played the pianoforte with your whole heart, your full lips twisting in suppressed pleasure. When I tightened your stays and my fingertips grazed your bare skin, I felt a fire rush through me. We sat close in church, your thigh against mine, and I wondered at the love God had given me for you. It felt nothing like sin. It felt as vital as the sun. The summer passed like a dream. I dreaded the inevitable. London was spoken of, and the suitors swept in, shaking your father's hand. Each one would pass a cursory glance over me, his eyes finally locking on you, like a wolf when he sees a fawn. I hated the way they dared to undress you in their minds, acting like gentlemen now, of course, playing the waiting game. You were polite with them, speaking softly and smiling, but I was sure your aloofness wasn't just chastity. Your face didn't light up like it did when we spoke. You didn't laugh, throwing your head back like you did when I told a joke I'd heard from the stable boy. That glint in your eye? I think it was for me. I told myself it was, because it gave me hope that you wouldn't give yourself away to one of these men. For what? To be moved to a loveless estate where kitchen girls whisper, where your belly would grow, maybe rip you apart. I couldn't bear the thought of it. I swallowed my jealousy, but sowed seeds of doubt too. Well, what do you think of him? You'd ask. And how splendid did he look? I wove untruths with the little power I had left. My father was once a man in the know, and there were things he'd heard about certain families. Perhaps I may have reshaped some of those stories. Perhaps my attribution went amiss in the retelling. I loved to see the horror in your eyes as I unravelled the scandals. You leaned in, panting a little. I think you liked it, the sordid details bringing a flush to your cheeks. Sometimes you would grab my hands as I told you about the man who was known to be a little too friendly with another man. Sometimes you'd squeeze them when I told you what that meant. You'd recover yourself, sit back, look away, leave me leaning in, my hands still open, empty, willing yours to return. The spell broken, you'd rearrange your skirts. I was always left wanting more. We fell into a pattern. The men arrived, each more grotesque and ridiculous. We forgot to save our scorn for after. Your father shot me looks as we giggled uncontrollably, observing your hand in my lap. Don't mind Sapphic, you said. I need her here with me. After, your politeness fell away. I no longer had to make up stories. You were ready to mock. How pathetic, you said. Your eyes said, not one will come between us. This is our pact. When the winter came, you complained of the cold. The wind rattled door frames, the ice grew web-like on the inside of windows. You asked me to sleep in your bed. Like girls do, you said, when they're children. I repeated this like a prayer as I stepped barefoot across the hallway. I willed the ringing in my ears to stop, the cold sweat on my palms to dissipate. I couldn't help it. You let me into your room silently, the bed already warmed. I could see the shape of your hips under your nightgown in the candlelight, feel the heat radiating from your body under the sheets as though you were on fire. Every inch of me wanted to reach out and touch you. I felt like I would combust. I lay impossibly close to you, listening hard for any sign. And then you rolled to face me, placed your hand across my waist. You sighed, dreamily, the place where your arm met my skin, burning. I didn't know if you were awake. I was as awake as I could ever possibly be. When I woke, it was light, and you were facing away. I wanted to embrace you, melt into you, but I stayed stock still, pretending to sleep as you stood. The next night was colder still, Hallows Eve. We spent the evening wrapped in your biggest shawls, cracking nuts. I watched you eat an apple, your lips wet, your eyes shining with laughter. We blew our breath at each other, mine in great plumes around your face like spectres. You showed me the spot in the garden where the fairies gathered in the dying light. We saw something shift, and you held me fast in fright. Even through all those layers, I felt all of you. That night, You came to me first. The room was shabby, the bed narrow as a coffin. You said you were scared of the ghosts that haunt this night, or fairies that might spirit you away. I saw the twist of your lips, the mischief in your eye. I shuffled over as you crept between the covers. Your lips were warm and soft on mine, and in the darkness I felt you press your bare arms around my waist, my mouth dry, my whole self pulsating. The cold of the room banished. It was Midsummer's Eve again. The fairies had transported us. Your hands found their way under my clothes and onto my damp skin. My mouth found your neck, and you breathed my name as I breathed you in. The magic was alive in that tired old room as we tumbled, finding each other for the first time. Time stopped, twisted, moved back on itself. Moonlight pooled and dissolved. Our words drifted away through the air. I believe it was the best thing that ever happened to me. In the morning, you were gone, as if the fairies really had come to claim you. I woke tangled in damp sheets, the cold seeping into my bones from the iron bed frame. The fire in me rekindled as I dressed, as I touched each part of me your fingertips had swept just hours before. I practiced my looks in the mirror, how we'd signal over breakfast, how long it would be until we come back to one another. I descended the stairs, but the house was deadly quiet, the servants' clatter absent. There was no setting for breakfast. My heart leapt with the fear I'd overslept. I hurried to the morning room, through to the library. The house was full of nothing but last night's ghosts. The front door hung ajar, tendrils of cold air snaking in. I stepped out, and on the drive was a carriage full of trunks, with a coachman smoking a pipe. "There you are," he said, an impish grin on his face. He had the pride of a child trusted to deliver an important message. He handed me an envelope, thick and drooping. "Your service has come to an end. You may find your own way from here." Without waiting for a reply, he mounted the carriage. The world shifted between my feet. I stumbled back into the grand stone steps, and a gust of wind shut the heavy door behind me. "But my mistress, where is she?" "Gone to London, of course," he replied. And with a crack of his whip, he was down the drive, and I was left alone, with your fingerprints still burning on my frigid skin.